Good day, everyone. I am Aiko Buklasan. Today, I am going to discuss about the content of Chapter 2 in Research Proposal. First, we are going to discuss the introduction of Chapter 2. It is a short opening section that explains what the chapter is all about and why it is important to the study. The introduction briefly presents the review of related literature and related studies that are connected to your research topic. It also prepares the readers for the detailed discussion of previous theories, concepts, and studies that follow. In Chapter 2, we also include the theoretical literature. It refers to the theories, models, frameworks, and principles developed by scholars that explain the key concepts and variables of your study. It provides the intellectual foundation of your research. This section usually includes names of theories or models, key theories and their contributions, main ideas or principles of each theory, the explanation of how its theory relates to your study, and proper citations, which includes author and year. Let us note that it focuses on theories, not on specific research results or statistics. Next, we're going to discuss the conceptual literature. In research papers, it refers to scholarly writings that explains, define, and discuss the key concepts and variables used in a study. Unlike theoretical literature, it focuses on idea and meaning rather than formal theories. The purpose of conceptual literature is to clearly define important terms and variables. It explains the nature, characteristics, and components of each concept. It also shows how concepts are related to one another. It provides clarity and consistency in how terms are used in the study and prepare the basis for measurement and analysis. Next to discuss is the review of related literature. The review of related literature usually includes the theoretical literature, which we have discussed earlier. It discusses the theories, models, and frameworks that explain the variables in the study. It also includes conceptual literature, which explains and defines key concepts and variables based on scholarly sources, and related studies also, which summarizes and analyzes previous local and foreign studies that are similar to the current research. The RRL helps the researcher understand how variables are related according to past research, decide what to measure and how to measure it. It identifies what it is still unexplored, which becomes the focus of the study, develop a conceptual or theoretical framework. Next is the review of related studies in Chapter 2 of Research Proposal. The review of related studies is a subsection of Chapter 2 that focuses previous research investigations that are closely related to your study. The purpose of review of related studies is to present findings of previous studies related to your research, compare and contrast results, methods, and conclusions. It also identifies patterns, similarities, and differences in past research. It highlights research gaps that justify the current study, support the feasibility and relevance of your research. What we are going to include in the review of related studies. Each reviewed studies usually includes the authors and year of the study, title or focus of the research, research design and participants, key findings or conclusions, and relevance to the present study. Let us note that we avoid copying abstracts, but we summarize and synthesize instead. Lastly, we are going to discuss the research gap or the synthesis in Chapter 2 of a research proposal. The research gap or the synthesis is the final part of Chapter 2 where the researcher summarizes, integrates, and evaluates the reviewed literature and studies to clearly show what is missing, limited, or not yet explored in existing research. This section explains why the present study is necessary. The purpose of research gap or synthesis is to integrate findings from theoretical, conceptual, and related studies. It highlights limitations, inconsistencies, or gaps in existing research. It also clarifies, justifies, and need for the current study. It shows how the proposed research will contribute new knowledge and connect Chapter 2 to the research questions and objectives. What we are going to include in the research gap or synthesis. A strong research gap or synthesis includes a brief summary of key patterns from the reviewed literature, identification of what has been well studied, clear explanation of what is lacking or unexplored such as limited population or location, outdated studies, missing variables, methodological weaknesses, and a statement explaining how the present study addresses the gap. Let us also note that this section does not introduce new literature, but it synthesizes what was already discussed. I hope this topic helps you understand what is the content of Chapter 2. Thank you once again, and good day everyone. Bye-bye.